Alright guys, in today's video we have some pretty significant gaming news to go over and talk about here because it was just announced that E3 2020 has officially been cancelled. Now this is definitely a big deal. While it may not be the most surprising, it definitely holds some serious implications for the future of E3 itself, but it also makes me wonder what's going to happen now with not only Microsoft and their big E3 event that they were going to be doing, but also all of the publishers that were planning on being there as well. You think about Warner Brothers in particular. There's been the rumored Batman game, their DC gaming universe, as well as a new AAA Harry Potter game. Apparently they had some huge things planned for E3. Now we don't know what's going to happen. So I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk a little bit about the PlayStation 5 reveal event or stream, whatever you want to call it, because I came across something that unfortunately I have no choice but to file it under rumor, but I just thought it was worth mentioning because it may not necessarily be true. However, it's interesting to note the timing of the announcement of Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC and how this maybe is, in a way, potentially alluding to the PlayStation 5 reveal happening very, very soon, or maybe even the announcement of it happening as soon as maybe next week. So we're going to talk about that, but before going any further, if you could do me a favor, be sure to hit the like button. It really helps the videos out more than you know, and make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you never miss any future videos. But it says here that E3 2020 has been officially canceled by its organizers, the Entertainment Software Association, in the wake of public health concerns surrounding the continued spread of the virus. In a statement announcing the news, the ESA cited the ongoing dangers posed by the virus as the overriding factor behind its decision to cancel this year's iteration of the annual gaming exhibition. After careful consultation with our member companies regarding the health and safety of everyone in our industry, our fans, our employees, our exhibitors, and our longtime E3 partners, we have made the difficult decision to cancel E3 2020, scheduled for June 9th through the 11th in Los Angeles, reads the statement. Following GDC's move, the ESA also is looking at holding an online experience this June. We are also exploring options with our members to coordinate an online experience to showcase industry announcements and news in June 2020. We look forward to bringing you E3 2021 as a reimagined event that brings fans, media, and the industry together in a showcase that celebrates the global video game industry. So yeah, there you have it. Apparently E3 2020 is officially canceled, and this is definitely some big news because we don't know what this means for the future of E3. A lot of people are going to assume that this is officially the end of E3. Now, I wouldn't jump to that conclusion immediately. However, I will say this is not good for the ESA. This is not good for the future of E3, and it will be very interesting to see what the ESA plans to do with this online event that they're going to be doing in June. And it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to kind of adapt that. And who knows, maybe this is a good thing because, as most of you know, this is kind of the way that things have been transitioning, where more and more companies are now realizing we should just do our own thing, our own streams, our own events, or just do it that way. It's more direct. And maybe this will be the future of E3. However, it is worth noting that apparently the ESA does have big plans for E3 2021 now. I guess this is their way of trying to reassure everybody that E3 may not be happening this year, but it will still certainly happen next year. And I guess everything they had planned to do differently this year at E3, they're now going to have to push back to 2021. But this is a launch year for the new consoles, and it was already a big deal that Sony wasn't going to be there, right? But now the whole thing is canceled itself. And so, again, it's going to be really interesting to see how they handle this. I have to question what Microsoft is going to do now. You have to assume that they're going to keep their plans on track, and they're just going to basically have the same type of event they were already planning on having at E3, except now it's going to be streamed or pre-recorded or something along those lines. I think that's probably the best way to go about it, but there's no doubt that E3 is going to continue on in some way here. How good it will end up being, really don't know. You have to think about these third-party publishers like Warner Brothers and Ubisoft and all these others that were planning on being there, how they're going to have to kind of scramble now to figure out what they're going to do. So it's going to be very interesting. I will say that while Sony obviously didn't anticipate things going down this year the way they are, I guess they did make the right call after all by deciding not to attend E3 2020. And so you have to imagine that Sony's probably faced its own problems with everything going on that are just kind of being kept more under wraps because there's really been no need for them to talk about it. And it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be paying close attention to not necessarily E3 itself, but mainly Microsoft and what they're going to do. We know that they have their new console launching, and I have a pretty good feeling that this is going to be potentially the biggest E3 ever for Microsoft, because it kind of has to be. And they have really huge things planned, and I think they're just going to try to have to make sure that everything goes smoothly and nothing really major happens to where they can't even properly get, the messaging out there or the reveals out there that they would like to. So we will have to see what happens there. But moving on from that, I want to, and this kind of just segues nicely into talking about the PlayStation 5 reveal. Now, again, I have no choice but to file this under rumor territory, but I just came across it, and it's just one of these things where it's completely 50-50. This person could be completely off the mark, or, they could be telling the truth here. But I find it interesting because regardless of whether or not this person is actually, like, what they're saying is actually legitimate and what has happened, it sounds very plausible. And this comes from an individual named Luke Stevens. I believe he's also a YouTuber, but I came across this tweet he put out on March 4th, and he said, "I heard from one of my old Sony pals that they have internally delayed the reveal and launch dates of PlayStation 5 due to supply chain concerns. It was supposed to be revealed a little over a week ago. We should find out more before April." Now, I find this particularly interesting because while it may be completely untrue, it does make you wonder how, you think back to January and early February, there were so many rumors floating around with all these different reveal dates, and many of them were for the later half of February of this year. And so he's saying here that basically what he's heard from one of, as he calls it, his Sony pals, is that the reveal date got pushed back, but what's also incredibly interesting is the launch date. Now, I don't know if, maybe he's getting this confusion or not, but I mean, he's saying here that the launch dates of the PS5, have also been delayed, and we don't really know what that could mean. I mean, that could mean maybe they were trying to get it out a little bit earlier than we expected in October, but now they're like, okay, let's kind of move it back towards the end of November. And then you also have to take into consideration game launches and all this stuff. And so, he says here that we should find out more before April, and what that tells us is that we should be getting more at some point this month. Now, another reason I wanted to bring this up is I've seen a lot of people mention that the timing of Horizon Zero Dawn is interesting, because there's no doubt that regardless of your opinion, and that's not what this video is about. I'm not here to talk more about Horizon Zero Dawn on PC or give my thoughts or opinions on that. I've already done that, and I will continue to do that later on, probably in my upcoming podcast. But some people have pointed out that the timing of this maybe hints that a PlayStation 5 announcement of some sort will be happening maybe as soon as next week. And the reasoning for this is because you have to imagine that Sony knows, okay? Sony knows that not everybody was going to be happy at the news of Horizon Zero Dawn going to PC. And so there was a chance that it could create a lot of negative conversation. However, right now it doesn't seem like the conversation's really all that negative. But there's no doubt that some people are getting really frustrated because they're like, are you kidding me, Sony? You're going to come out here and at a time when people are literally just yearning, okay, they're yearning for PlayStation 5 information, anything. You come out and you reveal the fact that one of the PlayStation 4 exclusives is going to PC. Now, if you're annoyed because you were hoping for PS5 news and this is the only news we got, I can understand that. And so I've seen some people speculate that this is essentially saying or confirming in a way that because there's going to be a little bit of negative press going towards Sony's way here potentially with this news, that they're going to follow it up almost immediately with some really good news that's going to completely get rid of any bad news that could have potentially been negative attention that could have been garnered with this announcement. Now, I don't know. Again, this is just purely speculative. This is just me kind of trying to figure out what Sony's plan is, because obviously I have no idea, but I will say it does kind of make sense. And I only brought up what this individual Luke Stevens tweeted out because, again, regardless of whether or not it's legitimate information, it sounds extremely plausible. I think it's safe to say at this point that Sony's been so quiet about the PlayStation 5 that I honestly think that some things did have to shift internally, and they just wanted to make sure that they could plan it out accordingly. And, you know, he says here that we should find out more before April, and I guess all I can say to that is I hope he's right. I hope that whoever he's talking to, his Sony pal, is legitimate and the information he's giving him is legitimate, and that if what he's saying is true, we will get more PlayStation 5 info before the end of March. And, you know, whether or not that's a reveal or just the announcement of the reveal or just something else entirely, I don't think it matters at this point. I just want something PlayStation 5 related because I'm excited, and I've been waiting very patiently, and I want to keep the hype going because it's a launch year, right? Like all throughout the year we should be talking about the PS5, and it's hard to keep it going when there's really just nothing to go on. So that's pretty much going to do it for the video, guys. I apologize if I rambled a little bit here, but some interesting stuff happening. E3 officially canceled. Who would have seen that coming? I didn't, and so, we're going to have to pay attention to what this means for the future of E3, and we have somebody here who claims to have a Sony pal that is saying that Sony had to kind of move their plans back a little bit, and some things got delayed internally, but everything is hopefully still on track, and we should be hearing more before the end of the month, so we will see if that turns out to be true or not. And so at this point, I'm going to ask you guys to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think about E3 being canceled, and do you think we're going to be getting some PS5 news or information before the end of March, or at this point are you expecting nothing from Sony in regards to the PS5 in March? Leave your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.